The wolves that remained near human camps were still wild animals. They hunted when they needed to. They feared people at close range, and they disappeared into the darkness long before sunrise. Nothing about them resembled the loyal companions we know today. Yet something subtle was beginning to change. Not because humans had decided to tame wolves, but because living beside humans created a world unlike any wolves had experienced before. For countless generations, wolves had survived by relying almost entirely on the hunt. Success depended on strength, endurance, cooperation, and the ability to bring down dangerous prey. Every meal came with risk. Human camps introduced a second option. Scavenging required a different set of behaviors. Instead of chasing prey across frozen valleys, a wolf had to observe. Instead of attacking immediately, it had to wait. Instead of responding with aggression to every nearby threat, it often benefited from remaining calm enough to judge the situation before acting. The wolves best suited to this new environment were not necessarily the fiercest hunters. They were the ones capable of adapting. Night after night, they learned where humans discarded unwanted remains. They recognized the smell of smoke, the rhythm of a camp settling into silence, and the invisible boundary that could not be crossed without provoking a violent response. Every successful visit reinforced those lessons. The wolves that ignored them often paid the price. Over many generations, this difference may have become increasingly important. Natural selection does not reward the strongest in every environment. It rewards the individuals whose behavior best matches the world around them. For wolves living on the edge of human society, patience could become as valuable as courage. Curiosity could become more useful than reckless aggression. Tolerance could become an advantage rather than a weakness. Without realizing it, humans had created a new ecological pressure. They were not selecting wolves on purpose. They were simply reacting to them. A wolf that charged into the camp was driven away or killed. A wolf that waited quietly beyond the firelight was more likely to be ignored.
That difference alone could influence which animals continued returning, which survived difficult winters, and which eventually raised the next generation. In other words, humans did not need to choose wolves. The environment surrounding humans was already doing the choosing. Some scientists believe this may have been the first step toward domestication, not through cages, not through training, not through deliberate breeding, but through self-selection. Generation after generation, certain wolves repeatedly chose to remain near humans because the rewards outweighed the risks. At the same time, the human environment consistently favored wolves capable of living peacefully at its edge. Both forces pushed in the same direction, slowly, almost invisibly. No one living during the Ice Age could have noticed the change. A single lifetime was far too short. But over hundreds, then thousands of years, tiny differences could accumulate. The wolves closest to human camps were no longer experiencing exactly the same world as wolves that remained deep in the wilderness. Their future had begun to diverge. It is tempting to imagine that humans reached out first and welcomed wolves into their lives. The evidence suggests something far more gradual. Before people intentionally raised wolf pups, before they understood breeding, before the first true dogs ever existed, certain wolves may already have begun changing themselves simply by choosing to live beside us. And that quiet decision, repeated across countless generations, may have altered the course of evolution forever. But living near humans offered more than discarded bones. It also brought new dangers and new opportunities. Soon, some wolves would discover that humans could provide something even more valuable than food.